From our 17th follow-up file, 2 nights of protest took place outside Bakersfield Police Headquarters last weekend in response to the decision in Kentucky not to charge police in the death of Breonna Taylor. Local Black Lives Matter organizers hosted a downtown rally and counter-protesters also showed up. 4 people were arrested over the course of the 2 nights. 17's Robert Price reports.
It's been a common refrain in this year of protests. The other side is busing in troublemakers. Well, that may have happened in some cities around the country this year, but last weekend in Bakersfield, all signs point to the likelihood that this was strictly homegrown. That doesn't mean the organizers of the protests and counter-protests in Bakersfield Friday and Saturday knew everyone they were marching with. The weekend protests got loud and, in at least one documented case, violent, but BPD was there in force to keep it from getting worse. Most of the crowd packed up and left Friday night at about 8 p.m. when police declared an unlawful assembly and ordered them to disperse. 2 who didn't were arrested. 31-year-old Gideon Alday, a former Kern County Sheriff's deputy, convicted in 2016 on domestic violence charges, and 37-year-old Jared Haug. Haug, an art teacher at CSUB, said the gathering did not strike him as an unlawful assembly, so he stuck around.
And I had begun to think of the police response to the Black Lives Matter movement as what I've been thinking of as the criminalization of grief. You know, what are the long-term effects of not only denying justice to the black members of our community when they are killed at the hands of the police, but denying, again, the ability to express grief and anger and sadness at that denial.
BPD spokesman Sergeant Robert Pear said the intent of organizers on both sides might have been worthy, but people on the fringes hurt their intended message.
I think that there's people with messages that are important to them on both sides that are capable of talking about those messages in a way that is conducive to creating dialogue. I think there's also some folks that are involved for the wrong reasons, and because maybe some of these groups aren't super organized, that those individuals get involved and can kind of derail both groups' messages.
Lisa Kendrick, who created the Facebook group Giving Back to the Badge, said her group was just there to show support for law enforcement.
The line is crossed when you start tagging our police departments with all cops are bastards, you know, police should die, things like that.
Lisa Marie, as she's known on Facebook, said she and like-minded people stayed after the protests were over and cleaned up graffiti that had been sprayed on the side of BPD headquarters.
And that's why we counter-protest with cleaning everything up. Cleaning up their messes, you know, everything they destroy, we put it back together.
There was, however, clearly some bad behavior on the part of those counter-protesters, as Kendrick acknowledged.
Actually, we don't know who those people were. They actually showed up and started violence, and we actually were all posting in our groups about them and trying to figure out who they were and where they came from. Yeah. So they're giving us a bad name when we have no idea who they are. They're like the guy with the Jesus shirt. I don't know if you saw that, yelling homophobic slurs. Nobody knows who he is. It
wasn't just the counter-protesters. The following night, police arrested 2 people whose sympathies were apparently with the Black Lives Matter group. Zandia Beltran Gomez, 28, was arrested after a brief scuffle on charges including vandalism and assaulting an officer with a baseball bat, as well as possession of brass knuckles and a switchblade. No one was seriously hurt. Black Lives Matter supporters were trying to organize a show of support for Beltran Gomez at her Wednesday afternoon court hearing. And David McMahon, 32, was arrested and charged with brandishing a firearm miles away from the protest on Hageman Road. But police said it might have been connected to the activity downtown because McMahon had BLM messaging on his van and the victims had been at a Trump rally. Everybody I talked to agreed that peaceful protest is a uniquely American right. What they don't always agree on is the definition of that term. In downtown Bakersfield, Robert Price, 17 News.
And 17 News did reach out for comment to protest organizers Monday, but as of this afternoon, we still have not heard back.